This is the Gamble Murder House as it appeared in the Mansfield News Journal on March 8, 1940, the day after the horrific murder-suicide which stunned the county, according to the newspaper headline. This is the Mansfield News Journal shocking front page headline from March 8, 1940. These are the photographs of the murderer Theodore Smith and his victim Marjorie Gamble from the March 8, 1940 edition of the Mansfield News Journal. This is a photograph of the Gamble murder house, which I took during the first of two visits in 2020. It has been abandoned for decades and is scheduled to be demolished in 2021. I'm not exactly sure when it is scheduled to be demolished, but I did drive past it a few days ago, and it is still standing. It would be nice to be able to visit it one last time before its date with the wrecking ball. Our first ghostly contact with the alleged spirit of Marjorie Gamble was at the Osmond Pittenger Revolutionary War Cemetery, where she remarkably informed us during a session with the dowsing rods that she was a 9-year-old girl who had been murdered and was buried at a cemetery 20 miles to the south of the cemetery we were at, and wanted this doll, which our friend Caitlin had previously promised to her, but had given to another little girl spirit at the Osmond Pittenger Cemetery. This is the second doll, which Caitlin left at Marjorie's grave at the Chalk Cemetery near Johnsville, Ohio. I don't know that much about dolls, but I think it's much nicer than the first. This is yet another doll which Caitlin brought for Marjorie as a trigger object when we visited the Gamble murder house. We asked her to light the K2 meter up by touching or tapping it if she liked the doll. As you can see, the meter is registering a 4 out of 5, indicating her pleasure with the doll. K2 meters detect electrical energy, and ghost hunters use them based on the theory that spirits are comprised of energy. For the record, there was and is no electricity in this abandoned house, thus there is no logical explanation for the meter to have been lighting up. When we returned for our second visit at the Gamble murder house about a week later, we found the doll laying on the living room floor at the bottom of the staircase after we had left it on the stairs. In addition to the doll being moved, some candy, which Caitlin had brought for use as a trigger object, was missing. Before the viewer gets too excited over the possibility of paranormal explanations, it is my guess that the candy was eaten and the doll was removed by a wild animal, such as a skunk, a raccoon, or rat. For those who have not seen the video of our first visit at the Gamble murder house published last week, I had found an old can of paint in the upstairs and placed it near the top of the steps with the hope that I could get the alleged spirits to knock it down the stairs. Unfortunately, this apparently required too much energy from the spirits, who indicated their willingness to the K2 meter, despite their inability to push the can down. During our second visit, I brought this much lighter aluminum pop can, which I hoped the spirits would push down the stairs. Unfortunately, they were unwilling or unable to knock it down the stairs. This is the photograph of Thomas and me in the basement of the Gamble murder house, where farmhand Theodore Smith sexually assaulted and then murdered Marjorie Gamble over 80 years ago. If we look dusty, it's because we were. We are probably the first living human beings to enter this basement in decades. If I look frustrated, it's because I was. It took approximately 20 tries to get my digital camera, which was on a tripod, to take this picture because it kept shutting off after my freshly charged batteries were drained. And Thomas looked spooked. Perhaps it was because we were standing in the pitch dark due to the brand new batteries in my flashlights being completely drained. Except for on television and YouTube videos, I've only ever seen still pictures of orbs. I've never seen an orb with the naked eye or a moving orb until the Gamble murder house basement. When I looked through the LED display on my digital camera to take a picture of Thomas, I saw literally dozens of moving orbs, and they weren't just floating around, they were moving fast and in all different directions. I had Thomas look, and he saw them too. Unfortunately, neither of us were able to photograph them, but I'll never forget what I saw. I wish I had thought to take a close-up video of the LED display with my iPhone. This is a photograph Thomas took of me in the basement of the Gamble murder house. He was attempting to capture dozens of moving orbs which were appearing in the LED display on my digital camera. Note that I'm holding the K2 meter in my right hand. After this picture, we had a most interesting session with the K2 meter. I believe we made contact with Marjorie, who indicated to us by lighting up the K2 meter as I walked around the basement at the exact spot where she died and the location of Theodore Smith's bed. I hoped to get a copy of the police report, which would include a diagram of the crime scene in the murderer's basement bedroom, but according to the Lexington Police Department, the Richland County Sheriff's Office, the Mansfield-Richland County Library, the Ohio Historical Society, and everywhere else I contacted, copies apparently are no longer in existence. This is a picture of my homemade dowsing rods on the left and a painted red aluminum pop can on the right. We typically are able to communicate with alleged spirits by holding the dowsing rods straight in front of us and asking questions, and the spirits respond to the questions by crossing the rods. Prior to our visits at the Gamble Murder House, we visited the Belleville Opera House, and an alleged spirit there took the initiative to knock over a nearby empty pop can with the dowsing rods without our asking any questions. So I added this pop can to my ghost hunting equipment inventory and decided to give it a try during our second visit at the Gamble Murder House. The video we are about to watch starts with Thomas explaining to any spirits who might be present how it works.
Okay, at the Opera House, a ghost would use the dowsing rod to knock the can over. Can you do that?
Can you shine the light on it? Because I'm not getting it with the camera light. You gotta do his one on his left. Make it swing to the left. There you go. Just knock a little harder.
It's crazy how the right one's just staying still.
How do you get the flash on the video? Because this isn't showing.
I don't think you can.
Can you hold the flashlight up a little bit more? There we go. That's good.
Josh,
The
jump into
K2
fire.
meter's going on.
Okay, got the K2 meter going off. Now
Wanna
can
try
you
this,
can you
Josh?
knock the can
Go
down?
for it, man.
My
Okay.
back's starting to hurt.
Well, it looks like you're taking a shit.
Can you knock the can over before Thomas soils himself? A little harder. I think the ghosts at the Opera House are stronger.
You want to try, Joe?
Okay, here, somebody hold the camera.
My hands are all
Uh,
full.
Okay, here, you hold the camera. This chair here is good.
Sorry,
Okay, boy, this is gonna hurt my back, I can already tell. Okay. Either one, hit the can and knock it over, please. Can you knock it over?
Get the K2 meter.
Either one. I see you trying to cross. Look at the K2 meter. How you getting the K2 meter?
Yeah.
Look at this. Let's go back and forth.
Playing the drums.
Can you knock the can over?
See it trying, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
Josh, you want to try?
I guess I'll try.
Huh?
I'll give it the old college
Yeah.
try.
Just to prove to yourself that it's not Thomas and me manipulating it. Oops, I just blinded myself. You know, that's an awkward position to stand in. I was hurting my back.
Yeah. He did.
I'm holding the flashlight.
Can you knock the can over?
Gotta get a little lower. Back one side up and then give it a real hard push. Look at the K2 meters going. Are you telling us with the K2 meter that you're trying? Is that what you're telling us?
Are you running out of energy?
Is your back hurting too?
Yeah.
That's a weird angle to stand.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, go ahead and stop it. Just as my luck would have it, the spirits knocked a can down with the dowsing rods right after we shut off the recorder.